These are three types of holes you might need to patch in a plaster wall. First, a small 10 to 12mm hole, which might be from a wire going to a batten light. The only prep needed here is to bevel the edges of the screw holes with a largish drill bit and bevel the wire hole with a knife. For small patches like I'm showing you in this video, you can just use an all-purpose stopping compound. Get a little bit on a trowel, and for the first coat, just push it into the hole a few times. This ragged hole is what you might get if you have a wall anchor that's broken out from too much weight being applied. First, pull off all the loose edges. Don't be afraid to tear the cardboard a little here like I am. It helps with the beveling and the adhesion. Then bevel any sharp edges left over with the knife. Apply a little bit of compound on the edges and around the hole, and then add some fiberglass plaster tape. If it's smaller than this, you can just use one piece. Leave it slightly slack so that it can push into the holes. Now you can apply the first coat over the tape, making sure to push it into the hole. Light switches or general power outlets usually have a big hole behind them, and they rarely cut square. First thing to do is square up the hole with a plaster saw and slightly bevel the edges with a knife. Now cut out a piece of plaster that will slip into the hole and screw 2 drywall screws into it. If it's a larger hole, like from a vent, you may want to put 4 screws in, 1 in each corner. Apply some compound to the edges of the hole and the fill-in piece that you've cut, and push it into the hole. Force the compound into the gap with a trowel. Now you can use the screws to manoeuvre the fill-in piece while you get it flush with the wall. You can see that as the stopping compound dries, it sinks into the hole. First, give the area a very light sand with 120 grit sandpaper on a sanding block. This is just to allow the trowel to glide better for the second coat. On the switch hole, remove the screws and lightly bevel those holes. Now apply more compound over the top of the first coat, filling in the sunken areas. This time use slightly less pressure so that the trowel leaves a thin layer on the wall and you shouldn't be able to see the original repair. For the third coat, lightly sand again and move a bit wider again, leaving a thin coat over the whole area. Lightly sand with 120 grit sandpaper and then switch to 240 grit. If you still have dips or small air bubbles at this point, you can add another very thin coat, going back to pushing quite hard with the trowel. You shouldn't be able to feel the transition between the fill-in and the plasterboard. The thing to remember is that once the initial repair is done, you're not trying to get the wall flat. You're trying to create a very slight bump to hide the repair, but it's so smooth that it's imperceptible to the naked eye. Once the repair is complete, vacuum up the dust. Wipe it clean with a slightly damp cloth and paint. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below.